Hey, welcome back. I'm Chaz Marler here with my good friend and occasional co-host Mick, and we are in the middle of a kind of a special set of videos. We are counting down Mick's top 10 favorite board, card, tabletop, etc. games of all time. And in case you missed the first episode, just a quick recap of why we're doing this. As some of you may know, I kind of have a thing for board games. Enjoy talking about playing and collecting them and whatnot, making media therein about them. But you come from the kind of a different perspective to board games, whereas board games are my central hobby of interest. Board games have been something that's always been a part of your life, but it's always been on the fringe.
Yes.
So we're getting kind of, I like the way you put it before, the amateurs list to board games.
Yeah.
So, I thought,
the list of an amateur gamer.
The list of an amateur gamer.
Yeah, this is, again, coming from someone who does not have a Board Game Geek account.
Yes, that's true. And the mind wobbles at the thought. So last video, we did numbers 10 through 6. And today, we round things off with numbers 5 through 1. I'm really excited. Like I said, now you have not shared your list with me. Just from our own conversations casually in the past, I've kind of made a mental list of what I think your top 5 are, but I don't know. So I'm anxious to find out. So let's continue right on with number 5.
Number 5, Trivial Pursuit.
Ooh, Trivial Pursuit.
It's a game that I've loved since I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. And still love to this day. I will play at any chance someone wants to play that game.
Really?
Yes.
So it hasn't. It has aged well for you then.
Yeah, I mean the game hasn't changed.
Right.
It's still the same as it was 30 years ago.
So many questions. Again, one of the main complaints that I hear about Trivial Pursuit is that the pie mechanism, getting the little slots in the pie, and the way that you have to get those, and you have to land on the exact space, seems like it hasn't aged as well to some people. But does that bother you about it, or have you ever even given a thought?
No, that part is like the fork that brings the meat to your mouth. Does that make sense?
No, but try again. That is the part, the fork that brings the meat to. That's what holds the whole game together.
No, it's just there to get you to those questions and answers. So I don't mind that. I mean, it is a very simple mechanism.
Yeah.
But it doesn't bother me at all. I just want to devour those questions.
Okay.
I love the trivia. I have played many versions of the original, which is really my favorite, just as they update the questions so that you're not just answering questions about 1984. But of course, played the RPM edition, which is all music, which I really like. The 1960s version is quite interesting. But the general, actually, I think they call it genus.
I never know how to pronounce it.
Or genus, however you say it.
Janus?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's my favorite, just the basic mix, the basic gallimaufry, if you will.
So how does Trivial Pursuit compare to many of the other trivia games that have been developed? There was Songburst, which I know you and I played back in the 90s a few times, and of course Wits and Wagers. Mm-hmm. So how does Trivial Pursuit stand up against all these other more modernized trivia games?
Well, part of it is so accessible that anyone will play it.
Fair enough. That is true. The more you gamify a trivia game, the less accessible it can be. Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows Trivial Pursuit, and so when you have a group of people together, you want to play a game, you open up your game chest in my case, or walk into the game room in this case, and it's really overwhelming to people who aren't gamers. And, like I said, I'm an amateur gamer. I do love playing games, and so this doesn't intimidate me. But to folks who really don't play games very often, Trivial Pursuit is it's bread and water. It's something that they can easily relate to.
I'm finally getting the analogies. I get it. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That does make sense.
So yeah, it's a good way to get people who don't game to game with you.
The only question that leaves me with is who is the Democratic candidate that Ronald Reagan defeated in the 1984 U.S. presidential campaign?
Oh boy. I can't remember if that was Dukakis or Ferraro?
Mondale.
Mondale.
Walter Mondale.
See, I did not get a pie.
That's true. And I got a whole tortilla chip on a fork thing. See? Oh, boom. Boom. All right. So that's Trivial Pursuit as discussed and demonstrated. Let's move on to your number 4.
Number 4, we just mentioned.
Mondale?
Wits and Wagers.
Oh! Okay.
And it is the logical progression from Trivial Pursuit.
Oh, okay.
You've got the trivia, which I quite enjoy. Obviously, I love it. But there's the gambling aspect to it.
Fantastic game.
A little bit of randomness in there with, it's a terrific game.
I was wondering if Trivial Pursuit, from its nostalgic nature, bumped Wits and Wagers off your list. Okay. Oh, I got a question. I got a question. I know that you've participated in like trivia nights, like local pubs and stuff.
Absolutely, I love that.
Yeah. Has the Trivial Pursuit and Wits and Wagers experiences changed your strategies or affected how you played those like pub trivia nights or anything in any way?
I don't know that it's affected how changed any way that I would play there, but it definitely has contributed to my desire to do so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, neat. So playing Trivial Pursuit and Wits and Wagers has actually motivated you to go out and do those social trivia nights then?
Yeah.
That is interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
All right. So there we have different aspects of the trivia genre at your number 4? 4. Wits and Wagers. Wagers. 3!
Okay, number 3.
Number 3.
Pandemic Legacy.
Oh, now see, I knew this was going to be in your top 3. Please continue.
Yeah, such a great game. The legacy component of it. I mean, Pandemic is a great game anyway, but the legacy component just added so much to it. I love the idea that the board is permanently changing, that it's evolving. Not, of course, the greatest replayability.
I have a question about that after. Continue.
But no, it really, I don't even know what to say about it. You can ask me questions, I guess, but such a wonderful game.
Okay, well, there are several questions about Pandemic Legacy and the legacy environment in general that I want to ask, but I'm going to save those because I think they'll be answered by another item on your list.
Yeah, which we can probably move on to if you want.
You know what? Let's do that because everything is going to be cyclical, and we don't want to talk about spoilers for Pandemic Legacy anyway. So let's move right on to your number 2. All right, and your number 2?
Risk Legacy.
There we go. Okay.
So those two games kind of go together. I played Risk Legacy first, and it blew me away. The permanent changes to the board, of course opening the boxes and opening the packets of new cards.
That was what was so cool when we played that. Is that we would be playing the game. And it would be like, well, I could either just do this and win, or I could do this and maybe not win the game, but it will trigger this box opening. And we'd be all, well, no, win. No, we're opening the box.
Yes.
It was such an exciting experience. And at the time, I mean, it was like no other game we had ever played, that concept. What makes Risk Legacy so special to me is that there was that day that you were in town and you just popped by my office where I was working and you said, you know what, I got this game. I just got it. Haven't even opened it yet. I got Risk Legacy. Would you like to come over? You and your family like to come over and start playing Risk Legacy. And that was the game that got us to start seeing each other again after we had drifted apart for like 10 years.
Worth it on its own.
Yeah. But let's get back to the game.
I grew up playing Risk and loved the game Risk, but admittedly, it can take forever.
Yes.
And Risk Legacy does not.
No, it has the whole control point system where, yeah, I believe when we played, for better or worse, there was a game where one of the players won on their very first turn, even with that control point system. And it was kind of a fluke game, but yeah, I mean, 8-minute game of Risk is unheard of.
Right. One of the things that I like about that game too is it's kind of like real life, where you actually get rewarded for how well you're doing, whereas a lot of games will handicap when you're doing well, which, to even the game out.
Yeah.
This one is more like real life, where if you're ahead, you get advantages.
That's true. And now some people complain about that it's known as like a runaway leader problem in some games. And yeah, Risk Legacy did kind of contribute to a runaway leader scenario sometimes. As we played, there were certain factions that became the ones to get and play. But that didn't bother you in the game?
No. It kind of like real life. Things just get faster and faster and faster until you die.
Fair enough. Now one thing I was going to mention when we're talking about Pandemic Legacy, which also fits with Risk Legacy, is the supposed limited life cycle of the game. Now you can continue playing after the 12 to 18 games of it that are scripted into the game, but we haven't. We've moved on to other games. But some people complain that the game artificially reduces the amount you're going to pay and play of this game. And for buying this game full price, they feel like it's a jip in that way.
When I bought the game, and I knew about the legacy thing, I knew that it was going to be a limited playability thing. And it was one of the most expensive board games I'd paid for up to that point. And so I was a little trepidatious buying it.
Okay.
But I would buy it again and start over to play with someone.
Now you mean if you had it to do over again?
No.
Or do you today having
played through the entire legacy, the entire lifespan of that game.
Okay.
I would buy it again from scratch to play with someone, even though I already know what's going to happen in some of those cases. I would love to play it with people who don't know.
Cool. So it has that much legs to you.
Yes.
That much in that sense, it does have that replayability.
Yes. Yes.
That means a lot for the game.
When you consider, like I said, it was to me an expensive game. It's not really, but
amateur.
Yeah, exactly. As an amateur, I was a little taken aback, but. Yeah, so worth it when you consider, for the price of taking your family out 2 nights to the movies, there's that game that you're going to play 15 different times.
Yep. Okay, so you've mentioned Pandemic Legacy and Risk Legacy. So do you think it is the legacy system in and of itself is a strong enough concept to make you interested in other legacy games, or was it more the Pandemic and Risk environment that you knew they were based on that pulled you into them?
The legacy part of it does make me want to play other legacy games. However, the one game of Seafall that I played,
half
a game of Seafall, it may not just be the legacy aspect that makes me enjoy it. Risk and Pandemic were 2 games that I already liked, so that made it easier for sure to like these games. The legacy portion of it is what made them over the top amazing.
There you go. Okay, so we've had 2 trivia games and 2 legacy games. Covering Pandemic and Risk Legacy and Wits and Wagers now, we have covered everything that I thought was going to be in your top 3. So this is going to be a surprise even to... No, it's not.
You know what it is.
Let's move on to number 1.
Number 1 is the opposite of a legacy game. It is so replayable. It's Dominion.
Dominion.
And when you consider Dominion and its many expansions, It is so replayable. Every game is completely different. It's fairly easy to teach people.
Mm-hmm.
It
is straightforward.
Yeah, it's one of those games that I will introduce to people who are amateur gamers like myself, and sometimes even folks who don't game that often, because it is easy enough to figure out.
Especially if you can pick and choose which cards you seed into the buy piles.
Yes. If I'm playing with someone who is a new gamer, or I'll play with my niece who's 8 years old, pick and choose which cards in there you're going to want to put out.
But it still allows the game to be accessible by a very wide audience.
Very much so, because there are some complex rules in there as well if you choose to use them.
Yeah, it's been like 4 or 5 years now since I've played my first game of Dominion, and really I've only played Dominion with you, because since I think you have almost all the cards.
I'm missing one card.
We'll find it. We'll track it down after this video. I never bothered to invest in my own copy of Dominion because I can just, steal yours. But I'm imagining you've played Dominion a few more times than that.
That is the game that I will pull out when anyone wants to play. I played it 2 nights ago. I played it this afternoon.
Yeah, we played it before we started filming.
But I played it with my daughter a couple nights ago. My daughter, who's really not into games at all, that's the game that she'll play.
And is it because of the accessibility?
I think so. Yeah, it is accessible. It's easier for her. She understands how to play it.
What is the specific thing about Dominion?
I think it really is the deck building that drew me to it. I was introduced to it on playing it online, but that just piqued my interest enough to go get the game, because I much prefer having cards in my hand.
Do you have a favorite set that's out of all of them?
Favorite set is Seaside. That's the one that introduced duration cards.
Oh, that was the one with the orange?
Yeah, orange cards that hold over to the next turn. There's a handful of really great cards in that set, but really it's the game as a whole.
Huh. Okay, so
and all of the expansions really do interact with the original and preceding sets very well.
Mm-hmm. Do you think now? They announced 2 expansions ago that they were done releasing expansions for Dominion. Do you feel that you have enough Dominion, or if they were just for some reason continuing to poop out expansions, do you think you'd keep getting them?
I would absolutely keep getting them.
You're well on your way to developing an acquisition disorder and elevating up beyond amateur gamer. Then, if you're
This has probably taken over for my Star Trek CCG.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to have it all.
There you go. Well, we'll wrap up this video and we'll go get you the one card we'll track down that one card that you're missing. So, you know what? While we go and we scoop up that card that we're going to go looking for, I want to first thank everyone who's taken the time to watch these videos, and I hope that seeing an amateur gamer's top 10 has lent a unique perspective to the board game world. So many times we can start to develop an echo chamber, it seems, or kind of narrow in our focus on a lot of these games. And it's refreshing sometimes to kind of see other people's perspective that are coming into the hobby at different times, different points, and from different perspectives. So thank you for sharing that list with us.
Yeah, thanks for letting me hang out here.
Well, you're welcome for hanging out, and thank you for thanking me for hanging out. Let's wrap up this video by reminding you that you can stop by the Pair of Dice Paradise and Dice Tower YouTube channels and subscribe for more videos about board games and news and reviews and commentary such as this. And you can also join us on our Facebook and Twitter pages to continue the conversations about board games. Until that next time, I've been Chaz Bardler, along with my friend and occasional co-host Mick, and we want to thank you for watching.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
top 10 board and tabletop and card and whatever games of all time. I'm going to come up with a better title than that before I publish this, though.
It's snappy. So you've played a board game then?
I go for the illusion of competence. The only question that leaves me with is, who is the Democratic candidate that Ronald Reagan defeated in the 1988 U.S. presidential campaign?
Ronald Reagan didn't run in 1988.
The only question that leaves...
Not a clue.
No, I'm glad I asked. What number is this? 4? 6?
That was 4.
4. 6 was last video. It's all about the utensils, baby.
What was the name of it?
Intrigue?
No.
Prosperity.
No, it's the...
Not the dark one.
the one that's the ocean.
Oceanside? Seaside?
Is that what it's called? Seaside.
Is it Seaside? Ocean View? Newport? Astoria?
No, not Seafarers.
Settlers? Starfarers?
Seaside.
That's not it.
Dominion Seaside.